This may not seem all that important, but here's the log I just took out, or the stump that came out. You can notice it's an odd shape. And like I said in the previous video, we archaeologed it out of there by knocking all the soil off of it. Then we cut for ourselves a terrace in here. Now I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. We're talking a little bit about Earthworks. And I'm going to step down here on this terrace. And I want you to imagine that this was like massive rock. Okay, so you're doing an Earthworks project, and this was a massive rock. You don't know how big the rock is, but you're working up here with scale. So let's say instead of this being 5 foot tall, it is 45 feet tall. Okay, so you got an excavator at the top of the hill, and it's sitting up there on stable ground, or what is known to be stable ground, and you've got this giant rock or log or something buried just below the edge, and you're going to get that out of there. Okay, now you can't have that excavator up on top of the hill and just reach over the hill and dig it out, because if this hill collapses, that excavator is going to roll all the way down the hill. Now, even a 5 foot hill, I don't want to roll down the hill. So what you do is you come down on the side of the hill, you dig yourself a little shelf, stabilize that shelf. So you basically built a second terrace, stabilize that terrace, dig out the soil and put it upslope. Okay, because it's cheaper to bring it back down when it comes time than it is to, haul it uphill any further. But because you have this stabilized section, so you can see where I took that log out, with that stump out, and I knew exactly what I was working with because I dug around it. I found all the intricacies of it. It's like taking out a stump with an excavator. You don't go for the stump immediately. You take out all the soil around the stump while you're on a stable position. So I'm on a stable standing point. And as I worked through, I built a stable standing point to make sure I got all the rocks out, I got all the little wood out. And then I made the back of my standing point, because remember, water goes down slope. I made the back a little bit deeper by walking my heels in the back. And now I'm on a shelf. It doesn't matter if I was 5 feet up in the air or 500 feet up on the air. My working location is stable, and I can work from the stable platform. Now, I would need a stable level platform, because when the water comes down later, I want it to spread out and soak. And I'm going to fill this back in and tamp it in, so I would want to be able to run an excavator or a tractor over the ramp as we build it back up. And then to get in and out of this slope, I may have to cut a ramp, a far ramp, so that I can get in and out. Now again, I'm demonstrating this at a small scale so you can understand it. Okay, because when we go do an Earthworks project, we're not going to create a 45 foot tall hill. And when it comes to this, like I told you in another video, I'm going to take this, see how far I can throw it. A measure of manliness here. There we go, out in the woods. Anyway, I'm going to fix this crack right here. See, you see where it's shifting? There's a crack. If that crack remains, it'll fill with water and it will shear off this hill. But it's the same concept. You cut a level contour, so a level walking space. Okay, and you step that soil in. Look, I'm stepping that soil in. Okay, and the shelf allows me to, again, push the soil off the top. So I can bring my wheelbarrow in here, and I could just start mounding soil up on a bund, push some of the soil in or rake it down and just step it in place as I work across this edge to basically stabilize the edge. Okay, I'm not going to take soil out of the bottom. I'm not going to rake up dirt. Now here, there's a little bit of a channel, so I may build that out. But with a tamper and just bringing in layers of soil, I can pack this down, and so this edge will be rock hard, okay? And it'll have a bund on it, so the water will go around it. And then I can go a little bit further on that side, and I'll probably be stable on this side. I don't see any slumping going on over here. And so we're repairing our slopes on a Earthworks terrace by making micro terraces and then filling them in and compacting them until we get to our top layer or our top level. We're not cutting a hole out and filling it in and hoping things work out. We understand that water will find its level. So if it's going down into the hill, and you can see there's moisture in this, by the way. It hasn't rained in a little while, and it's moisture in this hill. As the water goes down and hits the compacted soil, it's going to start spreading until it finds an area that has no compaction, or we'll let that water loose. If it spreads out and pushes out the outside here and takes soil with it, we're going to have a run through. We're going to have basically where we'll have erosion and we'll have to come back and repair again. But again, if you cut a terrace, small scale or big scale, you cut a terrace big enough to bring dump trucks out on to dump material in there, you can actually repair this hill. You're going to find details about this in the manuals for Army Corps of Engineers when they talk about highway building. You're going to find it in some of the Earthworks programs, and then in a practical class. A practical class, we would shave. Actually, I'm going to turn the camera off and do this myself, but I'm going to shave this out all the way down this crack until there's nothing, and then I'm going to start packing in soil. Now, where do I get my additional soil? I'm going to take the wheelbarrow over there and get it out of that area. You don't want to excavate soil here because we do have stable surfaces. We do have stable surfaces all up top here, but what's happened here is the water has gotten over the bund. And again, the storm event that caused this problem may not happen again for years, but the solution to resolve the issue, we want to last even longer. Okay, just assume every storm event will happen twice. And there's actually even you can even see the little channel there where the water is flowing through and down the hill. So I'll probably dig it out all the way over to here. Now, do I need to excavate? No. I just need to come through here and cut a shelf, level shelves, level terrace shelves, layer in additional materials, new material, and then pack it in with myself, with my body weight stomping on it. And also I have this little baby over here. So these are all the tools that you need. Okay? And these tools are going to put you in a situation where you're going to be able to build earthworks that last, that handle storms. By the way, that didn't crack, so that's probably a rock. That last for generations. The key is that we're mending them as we go. We're building them with the mindfulness of how water works, and then we're basically building in that infrastructure. There's my little slope. It's not perfectly level, but there's my little slope. Comes out here to a terrace. I compact that down in place, and then I add more material and more material until we're back up to that top level. All that material has got to be solid. The water's not going to soak through it. It could go behind it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, it needs to step back as we move up the hill, but it doesn't need to be perfect because you don't want the water to shear behind it, and then you end up with this. But again, in a practical course, we'd go over the details. I'd answer your questions. We work on something like this. You're not going to mess it up. It is just dirt. If it washes down the hill, as long as it doesn't get a big cut like when those students ran down the hill. As long as it doesn't get a big cut, you can always throw the dirt back up the hill. You don't want to because it takes money. It takes time. But again, it's not rocket science. The Aztecs were doing this kind of stuff. Folks that were out there in historic times were doing this stuff. They used to build earthworks. Fort Lincoln at Point Lookout State Park in St. Mary's County, Maryland, is an earthworks. I had the opportunity to help restore that particular facility. I've worked on a number of earthworks programs. And by the way, this concept of micro terraces even works for making paths that go up and down slopes. So you don't have to walk up and down the hill. You could actually create a path that's about at most a 45-degree angle that crosses this slope and will allow you to run a wheelbarrow up and down the hill. And then that path can be layered over time to build up the slope as you're cutting the grass or doing whatever you need to do on it. I'm Justin Hitt. This is just a little bit about earthworks. If you're curious about earthworks in agricultural situations and the use of earthworks in your permaculture design, be sure to ask questions in the comments below and visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org, where there's details about classes in the local area. And we've got people who teach these classes other than me. So we can get you connected with somebody in your region if you're interested in permaculture earthworks, agricultural earthworks. Until next time, I'm Justin Hitt, and this has been about a tip on how to do some maintenance. And that's what I'm going to get going on with right now. Talk to you later.